Hello, everyone. I'm Richard Keck, and welcome to a 2023 edition of All Things Fantasy Football. Excited to get back to this. It's been a minute since we've done one of these videos, so definitely excited to get back to this. Today, we're going to do the DRF preseason rankings, and this is post rookie draft. So this will include all the rookie draft players that we've accumulated in the 4-round draft that we did this year. But this is pre-auction portion where we don't have all of our free agents added to fill out our rosters completely. So as of right now, the teams are definitely not in complete form. So there's definitely some holes that can be filled. So the rankings are based on what you have now and not what you definitely could end up with at the end. So we'll start getting right into it. We're going to count back from 14 back to 1. And we're going to talk about what was added, what was subtracted throughout the rosters from last season, during the off season, via trades and as well as the draft picks made. So we'll start right off at the number 14 spot, and we're going to go with stop order. Bond's team coming in at the 14 spot. They've added Will Levis and Stetson Bennett and Ronnie Bell were the ads for this year in the rookie draft. And quite honestly, I can't understand why a team that's in a rebuild would add a rookie quarterback. They have Derek Carr and Daniel Jones. While they're nothing special, the quarterback position is probably the last one that you want to add. So adding not only one, but two when you can't keep them both. He's going to have to either trade or cut one of those anyway. Unless he plans on cutting Daniel Jones or Derek Carr, which I can't imagine that he would decide to do that. But when you look at the rest of the roster, it's not completely built. So the idea of spending a pick of any kind, even though albeit they didn't have any top picks to make any good plays, I would rather take a spot on take a dart throw on a running back or a receiver, something that has a potential to help your roster. Sorry about that. Help your roster rather than a quarterback that could be your third string guy anyway. So the rest of their roster, I mean, when you look, they still have Kenneth Walker, which is definitely a positive piece. Not much else there at the running back position. Receiver wise, I mean, you look top to bottom, and I don't see one that's maybe Rondell Moore might be the best player available for them to start this year at wide receiver. Got a couple of tight ends that are worth having, but really there's not a whole lot here. We got to hope that they hold on to their draft picks for the future and find a way to rebuild some positive pieces at the running back and the receiver position. And as of right now, it looks like a very long rebuild. But adding a quarterback in the rookie draft wasn't really the greatest idea. So I've got stop order there at the 14 spot. If they don't have their draft pick, whoever has it probably should hold on to that going forward, at least for the next coming year or so, because they're probably going to be a top 2 or 3 pick. So 14 stop order going into this preseason rankings. 13, I'm going to go with Wiggy. And while I do believe he has made some positive changes this year, at one point, Wiggins had 6 draft picks in this first round of a rookie draft. And then when I went to go do the add-ons and the pluses and the minuses, they did add Michael Mayer and Jackson Smith and Jigba. But then you could tell they'd made a couple other trades. They did add Josh Jacobs. They did add Geno Smith. And they did add Tyler Algier, even though I believe that was a bad trade, definite overpay. And then once Bijan Robinson went there, made it look even worse for him. But definitely added Josh Jacobs and got a couple pieces. But when you have 6 picks in the first round, and then that's what you end up with, I feel like it wasn't enough. It definitely wasn't enough from what they could have had. Especially they had the 3 and the 4 pick at one point. And then they just didn't come away with enough from what I'm seeing. I do know Wiggins has some picks in next year's draft. He definitely has some guys that he's bringing over from last year, and Garrett Wilson and Drake London. So he's got some pieces to go with those guys that he added on. Alexander Madison could be a nice play for him if Dalvin Cook gets traded. Um, so, Wiggins has made some steps in a positive direction. I just feel he definitely could have made better steps in a positive direction. He was nice, primed, set up, ready to go. And then, when you end up with Josh Jacobs, but how long are you going to have him? How long is Josh Jacobs going to be your centerpiece? He is only 25 years old. He's probably looking to get a nice payday. Based after this year, we'll see what happens. But right now, that's the centerpiece. He's definitely going to win more games than he did last year. But he's my 13th spot for this year, based on I feel that he could have done a little bit better. Number 12 spot coming into this year, I have the River Rats. And I think I put the River Rats this low just based on pretty much one pick. And that was getting Bryce Young in the first round. This is a team that has Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford. And their roster's got some nice pieces, but could use some more. And when you spend a premium pick on your third string quarterback, no matter how good he is, are you ever going to play him over Joe Burrow? Probably not. Unless he's all world, he's probably still your backup at best. I don't feel like they needed to take a quarterback there, especially that team when Paxy's not that far off, where Stop Order is definitely way off and shouldn't have taken quarterback at all. Paxy definitely is not far from being a contender, and could just use a couple more pieces at the running back or receiver positions, and taking a quarterback and Bryce Young there definitely wasn't a great idea. Other ads, they did add Dalton Kincaid, which is a nice ad. Lost Noah Fant, so trade off there, and we'll see how that pans out. I feel like that's a positive progression for the tight end, but not much else happened with the roster. So you're looking at Nick Chubb and Brian Robinson at the running back position. Definitely could have used another running back there, and there were running backs there. I know this because I drafted them, and there was running backs there, and I was very shocked that they fell, because I definitely didn't expect Paxi to take a quarterback with his premium pick, and he could have used some running back help. Wide receiver wise, Jameson Williams, going to miss him for a few games. You got Terry McLaurin, Tyler Lockett, DeAndre Hopkins. Got some nice guys, nice pieces. This team is not far off, but to waste that premium pick is probably the reason I dropped him down to the 12th spot. Paxi was in a good spot to add a definite player that could have contributed this year, and that was somebody that he needed to pick in that spot and not waste it on a backup quarterback. So that's my 12th spot, the River Rats. At number 11, we have the future DRF. Some of the ads that they've had, lots of trade action here with these guys. Peterman's always moving players. Added players like Mike Evans, Cam Akers, A.J. Dillon, Keyshawn Boutte in the rookie draft, and Jimmy Garoppolo, while minusing only Michael Pittman. So lots of ads when you look at it. Just a lot of trade draft picks for it, moving around. So it's starting to build a positive momentum for this team. Justin Fields is the starter here for them. Definitely, as long as he's got his legs under him, he's going to put up good numbers. Running back wise, you got Dameon Pierce that you added last year. You add Cam Akers this year. Now you've got a couple of running backs to go together. Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert's got both those guys just in case one's a starter, along with A.J. Dillon as well. So got some nice running backs. To go with Mike Evans, has Chris Godwin. I don't know how much you're going to use both of them, but you never know. Deontay Johnson, I think, has a bounce back year. He had 0 touchdowns last year. I don't believe he's going to have 0 again this year. He's a very good wide receiver. They didn't go out and add anybody, so obviously they believe that he's capable of doing the job. So I expect Deontay Johnson to have a positive touchdown progression and probably be a lot higher than he was last year in the wide receiver rankings. Just thin at wide receiver beyond that. There's not a lot here. They did, like I said, add a receiver, which was something they needed in the rookie draft. We'll see if that pans out. Trading for Mike Evans was a positive thing. So future and Peterman's team has definitely made some positive progression in in rebuilding this franchise. So that is my number 11 team, the future DRF. Coming at number 10, we have Show Me the Money. Barton's team coming at number 10. Got to find him on the list here. There we go. Positive players that he's added. He added Jalen Hyatt, Michael Wilson in the rookie draft. Also traded for David Montgomery. But in the loss column, lost Javonte Williams and Jerry Jeudy. Whether or not the Williams for Montgomery pans out, we'll see. Williams has those bad knees. We'll see how well he rehabs and progresses to become a better running back than he was before he got injured. That we'll have to see. And then you have Jerry Jeudy, lost Jerry Jeudy, who's never up until now has not lived up to his draft hype and his potential. So that could maybe turn out to not be such a bad loss after all. But still just missing some pieces to put him in that playoff category. Along with Dave Montgomery, you're looking at Jamal Williams, who's probably backup or maybe 60-40 guy at best. Samaje Perine also going to be in that same boat. With Javonte Williams. That's probably about it. Anybody that you're considering starting there. Wide receiver wise, definitely has Jalen Waddle. And Jalen Waddle. I mean, other than that, you're guessing Curtis Samuel, maybe Wan'Dale Robinson. There's just not a lot there to bank on. We'll see if one of those guys can step up, and he definitely has a couple of other guys on the taxi squad that are rookies. Drafted a couple rookies as well, so he's addressing the need of wide receiver. We just have to see if any of them pan out. But as of right now, Jalen Waddle is probably the backbone of this wide receiver crew. And while you got to give Barton credit for attacking that in the draft and drafting for need, maybe getting rid of Jerry Jeudy could end up hurting in the long run. So we'll have to see how that pans out. So that number 10 team is the Show Me the Money, and that's Jared Barton's team. Sorry about that. My notes are flying all over the place. Makes it hard to read when they're not standing up where I need them. But coming at the number 9 spot, I've got Here Goes Nothing. That's Silliman's team, which shockingly that I have him up this high. But definitely a team that added and didn't subtract anything. Was able to add Jordan Addison, which is a nice pick in the rookie draft, as well as CJ Stroud. A team that is going with Jared Goff as their starter for now. That was a team that you could see drafting a quarterback, whereas some of these other teams probably didn't need him. This was one that needed him. Jared Goff was his other guy, and then he had Malik Willis, who so far is a big bust from last year, sitting on the taxi squad. So a team that needed to address the quarterback position did so by getting Stroud, getting Addison. Also added Cedric Tillman late, which is addresses that receiver need even further. Running back wise, has Miles Sanders, moved down to Carolina. We'll see how well that pans out for him. Leonard Fournette hasn't got a team yet, but certainly he will. Tony Pollard, as you can see, this team has some pieces that can produce for him compared to some of the other teams that were lacking in that department. Receiver wise, Amon-Ra St. Brown leads the crew. Along with Rashad Bateman, the newly added Jordan Addison, Cortland Sutton. So has a little bit of depth. Not a great receiving crew, but has some players that can produce. Dallas Goedert, still one of the top 5-6 tight ends in the league, is your tight end. So this is a team that I feel is on the rise, has addressed needs at the rookie draft position, and is on the way up towards the playoffs. Is sitting right outside that in and out borderline at the number 9 spot. At the number 8 spot, we have the Motor City Machine Guns. LaRon, I've got a list a mile long of adds and subtracts. So stay with me. This one's going to take a minute. Adds. The Motor City has added Josh Downs, Tank Bixby, Chase Brown, Tyjae Spears, which were their rookie draft picks that they added. They also added Michael Pittman, David Njoku, Deshaun Watson, Ramondre Stevenson, and Darren Waller. That's the ads. Sounds like a great list of ads, but we have an equally long list of subtractions. Subtracting Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, Jimmy G, Christian Kirk, Tyler Algier, Keenan Allen, and A.J. Dillon. Now, trying to balance out whether that was a positive or negative, not exactly sure. It's hard to tell. Maybe a downgrade at the tight end position, maybe even a downgrade at the quarterback position, getting Watson over Lamar Jackson and Jimmy G. Got a bunch of young rookies. I'm definitely okay with Algier going, especially now that Bijan Robinson's gone. Keenan Allen was getting up there in age. Nothing wrong with him leaving. And Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk is a number 2 now. So, getting Ramondre Stevenson, who's still young, getting all those rookies, getting Michael Pittman, and Njoku's a nice tight end as well. So it feels like a plus for Laurent. But, definitely when you've got a laundry list on each side, it's a lot harder to break that down and figure out if you won or lost. To go with Deshaun Watson, he has Brock Purdy at quarterback, so he's pretty much banking on Deshaun Watson not being what he was when he returned last year. He showed signs at the end of the season of improving, so I feel like that's definitely something he can do. Still scared to get rid of Lamar, but I understand the timing of when he did is when Lamar had not signed a contract as of yet, so it definitely made sense. Joe Mixon left this team and came back to this team, so he still has Joe Mixon to go with Ramondre Stevenson. Zeke Elliott has, but so far no team as of now. So Zeke is out in La La Land, just waiting to join forces with somebody. And then getting, has Devontae Smith to go with Michael Pittman, has Tyreek Hill, and as well as Josh Downs in there. So has some receivers. We're gonna have to see if those rookies pan out, but this is a team again hovering right on the playoff brink. A lot depends on the quarterback play. A lot depends on the running back play. Is Zeke land somewhere, that definitely is going to help. So Laurent's made lots of moves, but we're not going to be able to tell whether those moves were good or not until we get into the meat of the season. So my number 8 team is the Motor City Machine Guns. At number 7, I have Back That Pass Up, Bergie's team. Quite a bit of a drop from where he was last year when he took the league by storm and started winning like crazy. Had the number 1 spot in the league for quite a while, made the playoffs. Had a good season. This is another team with a laundry list on each side. Added Keenan Allen, Dalton Schultz, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Christian Kirk, Aaron Jones, and Allen Lazard. Losing Javonte Williams, who they got and then sent. But to me, that was a big send. Tyler Algier also left this team. Looks like David Montgomery, Mike Evans, Geno Smith, and Josh Jacobs. Those are some big names to leave. I'm not a fan of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I drafted him a few years back, was able to get the most I could out of him in return, and he's bounced on many teams in this league since, and just has not really produced or lived up to the hype of being the number 1 pick in the league, which he was. Hard to believe that was the case just 3 years ago. Adding Keenan Allen, he's definitely aging. Aaron Jones, definitely aging. Allen Lazard, nothing special. Maybe he has a decent year. We'll have to see. Christian Kirk, I like. But other than that, I feel like Bergie's digressed, and the fall of where I would have had him with his team as it was would have been in the top 2, top 3. Definitely has fallen down to 7. Perhaps should be even down a little further. Does have Josh Allen, but as far as running backs go, he has Aaron Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Damian Harris, and that is all. Got one on his taxi squad, but until those guys produce, they're still just rookies sitting on your taxi squad. So I feel like he has definitely digressed, and has went in a backwards direction. So we'll have to see how it pans out. And currently, as of now, is going to be over salary cap and is going to have to make some moves anyway. So still has some moves to make. Has at this time has $38 And once you add in the 10% increase, that's $42 spent at the tight end position. Nobody else has that. So he has $42 spent at the tight end and doesn't even have a top 5 tight end. So that's a lot of money to spend on a position that you don't even have one of the best ones at. So that's my number 7 team. Back that pass up. Coming in at number 6, I have Belichick Yourself, Depue's team. Every year I try to find a way to drop this team further in the rankings because he just stands pat more than anything else. Doesn't do a lot of moves. Doesn't make a lot of selections that blow your mind in the rookie draft, and yet I just have a hard time dropping him because he still makes playoffs every year. And I guess as long as Christian McCaffrey is a stud top 1, top 2 running back, it's going to be hard to move him down from that spot. Positives that he's added on this team: he added Zach Evans, which is a rookie running back for the Rams. Given the history of Cam Akers, I don't see that as a bad pick at all, considering how late you get him, and you get a guy like that that could end up being a starter by the end of the year. So we'll have to see. Justin Shorter, Buffalo Bills wide receiver. Why not? He drafts every other one on the roster. He had Gabriel Davis. I think he had the other one that they had last year. Got his name right offhand, but and then Rashee Rice. Everybody's trying to get that next Tyreek Hill, that next Kansas City target for Patrick Mahomes. Why not this guy? I think he was a good pick where he was at. So all Depew did was add. He added 3 rookies. Didn't lose anything, because if you don't trade, you don't lose anything. So he has pretty much the same roster he had last year. So we're rolling with Tua, Kirk Cousins, and Trey Lance. That quarterback, all serviceable. We'll figure out, whether Trey Lance is going to be the man or not be the man. Tua's probably going to be the guy right there. Kirk Cousins will do what he does for the year. So he's going to be all set at that position. To go with Zach Evans that he drafted there, and the aforementioned Christian McCaffrey. He has his backup Elijah Mitchell, along with Khalil Herbert. Not a lot at the running back position. Has James Cook still on his taxi squad. Had he pulled him off last year, he'd probably have beat Garrett in the playoffs, but did not. So here we are. Wide receiver, Michael Thomas, still waiting for that 1 year. That's assuming he keeps him. He is over salary cap. $45 might be time to cut bait with him. Does have Cooper Kupp, Gabriel Davis, some guys that to go with, Rashee Rice there, to Kadarius Toney. He's the other Kansas City guy they got there. So George Kittle at tight end, Irv Smith at tight end. I think in Cincinnati is a good spot. So he's got some weapons. I still feel this is a potential playoff team, but the clock is ticking for Belichick. This team is going to just hit a wall at one point, 1 year, and then there's going to be no trading anybody, because it's going to fall right off a cliff. Everybody's just going to tank and be right done, and that'll be the end. And then he'll be in a full rebuild mode for quite a few years probably. So his window's closing, and if Garrett showed anything this past year, all you got to do is make the playoffs. If you make the playoffs, you can win the league. The best team doesn't always win. And so, as long as he keeps making the playoffs, he just needs that miracle run by a couple of players, like a Zay Jones. Zay Jones could have that miracle game or two, and then before you know it, you win the league. So, still a playoff team. So I've got Belichick at the number 6 spot. At the number 5 spot, I have Nate Jones straight out of Tomlin. Nate added Lamar Jackson, subtracted Deshaun Watson. That's a plus. Added Sam Laporte, however you say his name, rookie tight end. Lost David Njoku. Not sure if that's a plus yet or not. Feels like it could be. Detroit looks like it's found its legs and knows how to move an offense, but with a rookie tight end, it's really hard. Even the best rookie tight ends have struggled. So he'll probably roll with Robert Tonyan most likely as his starter. Besides from Lamar Jackson, is Baker Mayfield, so it's Lamar or bust most games. But running back wise, you got Alvin Kamara, Najee Harris, James Conner. Kamara can stay out of jail for most of the season. This is a nice running back base or running back crew. Wide receiver wise, added George Pickens in the draft last year. Um, Brandon Ayuk, Odell Beckham, Chase Claypool, Mari Cooper, Juju Smith-Schuster. So it's got some nice pieces that you can play to fill the gaps that the running backs lack. Does have Kenny Pickett on his taxi squad too, so I guess there is another quarterback. I'm not real high on Kenny Pickett anyway, even though I'm sure he is, but um, he's better than probably Baker Mayfield, not by much, but probably a little bit. So some good pieces here. He's definitely a potential playoff team. Got a nice running back crew. Lamar Jackson's going to put up a bunch of points. So that is my number 5 team straight out of Tomlin. And that is coming at number 5. Coming in at number 4, I mean, I can't, even though I don't think he was the best team last year, he won the league. And you can't take that away from him. He's got that under his belt. He is the defending champions going in, so I can't drop him too low in the rankings, especially when you look that he didn't lose anybody coming into this year. All he did was add. So coming in at number 4, I have the Motorboaters, and did a really good job in the rookie draft, I think. Added Anthony Richardson. Having your only quarterback be Dak Prescott, and we all know Dak isn't the greatest option most weeks. Taking perhaps the highest ceiling rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson isn't a bad maneuver. Takes Jonathan Mingo, who I have as one of my top 3 or 4 wide receivers in the whole rookie draft. Goes to Carolina. And I think he's going to be a very athletic, speedy wide receiver. So I love the Jonathan Mingo pick. 2 guys that Garrett definitely sniped from me. I wanted both of them. Then he gets Calvin Ridley back. While he was on the roster the whole time, he's been gone a year and a half. He missed that whole year for suspension for gambling. Missed the year prior where he was depressed or whatever, and took some time off. So he's got his plethora of running backs that he's drafted over the years for having the worst record in the league and having a top 3 pick every year, to go with finally getting Calvin Ridley back, adding some wide receiver depth. He addressed the needs that this team needed. He needed a quarterback. He needed wide receiver help, and he went out and got those. So did very good in the draft. Also added that Luke Schoonemaker, a tight end. This team didn't even need a tight end. Had Evan Ingram, Zach Ertz, Pat Freiermuth, but now has a tight end to grow in the wings. Dallas is known for its tight ends, so gets that extra one to put in there. So just address the needs and then fill the spots. Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, Saquon Barkley, great running back room. It's hard to forget how good his running back room was. And now you have Calvin Ridley, Jonathan Mingo, Paris Campbell goes to the Giants, Allen Robinson goes to Pittsburgh. Also added Tyler Scott for the Bears. I like that guy. I don't know if I like the landing spot. We'll have to see. But then Zay Jones, Zay Jones had 150 points last year. Was this team's top wide receiver last year? So, you never know. I don't think Zay Jones repeats that, especially when you got Calvin Ridley. But all those 150, most of those points will probably go to Calvin Ridley. This team could run multiple tight ends in situations if needed. I think this is a playoff team. Going to have some money in free agency. Probably needs to add another running back as well. Probably will be over cap room a little bit. Might have to let a guy like Allen Robinson go and try to get him cheaper, or just let him go altogether, so you can spend some money elsewhere. But definitely this is a playoff team. I got Motorboaters, the defending champs, coming in at number 4. Number 3 team, we've got Chaos. And Chaos is another team, no subtractions, just adds. Didn't do any trading. A couple of their ads kind of were a little baffling to me. They added 2 tight ends and 2 quarterbacks. Well, they already had 2 quarterbacks on the roster, so they have 4 quarterbacks now, and they can't even keep them all. So I didn't like the idea of adding Hendon Hooker and Sean Clifford for the Packers. I imagine Sean Clifford just gets cut by the wayside as a wasted pick. And you keep Hendon Hooker just in case for down the line. But Justin Herbert's the starter anyway. Doesn't even matter who, This was another one of those cases where you didn't even need to take a quarterback. You probably should have just taken a shot in the dark and grabbed some running back or receiver. Um, that would have definitely had the potential. It's a dart throw in the dark, but you never know. Those dart throws in the dark sometimes land. So Herbert's your starter, Aaron Rodgers is your backup. Neither one of those guys were needed, and you didn't have to take one. The other two picks were, or the other two ads were Noah Fant that they got I'm guessing a trade of some kind, and then Darnell Washington, which was taken as a rookie spot. So now this team has currently 6 tight ends on the roster. 2 of them are going to have to let go, and I'm guessing Hunter Henry, the $14 buy, there's probably the first one to get the axe and get let go, along with maybe Luke Farrell, the Jacksonville backup tight end down there. So those 2 are probably going to go. While the other ones, you definitely have Isaiah Likely and Darnell Washington are youthful and have their future in mind. But while you run with Gerald Everett and Noah Fant, but the window is closing for Chaos. He's sitting at the number 3 spot. He's definitely a contender. He's definitely a team that's could win the whole thing. But the window is closing. Aaron Rodgers is getting up there, even though he's your backup. Something happens to Herbert, you're going to have to get a backup somewhere down the line. Austin Eckler is getting up there. Derrick Henry's getting up there. And you're not in a spot where you're going to trade them because you can still win the league. So you're going to kind of ride them till they die kind of thing because you can still win the league with those 2. Dante Foreman is a nice backup piece for him. Antonio Gibson's a nice backup piece. Wide receiver wise, you have Deebo Samuel, Mike Williams, Marquise Brown, all great options, especially for this roster to have that kind of options at their disposal. McCole Hardman goes to the Jets for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. Adam Thielen goes to Carolina, still very cheap option there too. DJ Chark also to Carolina. Team's going to be over salary cap, so they're going to have to cut a couple guys. I'm guessing, like I said, a Hunter Henry, as earlier stated, maybe even DJ Chark in his $25 salary, someone else that you could probably let go and not worry about too much. But the window is definitely closing as those guys start to age for Farrell and his Chaos team. But right now, the window's still open, ranked number 3 in the preseason rankings, and he's definitely got a chance to win the whole thing. Well, if you've noticed who's missing in this, and as much as I hate to put him up this high, I've got the number 2 team, Noah Endlinger's the Chimp is back team. And it's hard not to put him up here. While his roster only consists of 17 players, 2 in defenses and 1 kicker in that group, the players that he has is a nice stack lineup, and he only has an $88 in salary cap. There's going to be some guys getting thrown. He's got to be in prime position to get whatever guy that is. He's got Kelsey. He's got Mahomes. He's got Adams. He's got Chase. He's got Chris Olave. Those are all a given. He has Chris Watson also. So he had a starting lineup right from the get-go. But then he did well in the draft, addressed all the needs that he needed to have. Doesn't have a backup quarterback yet, but there's definitely going to be some thrown back this year. There's going to be some thrown in the mix. But he addressed needs. He needed running backs. So he goes out. These are the ads that he had. Added Javonte Williams. Added Zach Charbonnet. Added Devin Arcane. All of those in the running backs he added. 1 in trade, 2 in the rookie draft. Also added Jaden Reed, wide receiver out of Michigan State. Also added tight end Tucker Kraft. So he added positions of need. That's the backup to Kelsey there for him. Some of the losses. Lost Ramondre Stevenson. While Ramondre had a good year, go look at his stats. He's not a fantasy monster. So losing Stevenson, gaining Javonte Williams. Williams has a higher ceiling. So I like the trade there to move on from Ramondre to get Javonte Williams. Lost Alan Lazard, lost Tyler Boyd, lost CEH, lost Dalton Schultz, and lost Damian Harris. None of them, I feel, are anything you could worry about losing when you've added youth. He added some draft picks. He added youth. I think Charbonnet is going to be in a split with K9. Devin Arcane's going to be in some kind of a split as well. He's too fast not to keep him on the field. He's going to get playing time. Jaden Reed, the only bad thing is you have Watson and Reed, so you got both Packer receivers to go with that Packer defense or tight end that you have. But he showed before he doesn't care about that. He'll play him anyway. So this team has definitely got some weapons, got some stars. The window's closing maybe on Devontae Adams sometime in the next year or two, but the rest of the team is young. So all the other guys he has, Chase, Olave, Watson, Reed. He also has that Rashid Shaheed for New Orleans, also a nice weapon. Mahomes. All these guys are young. So the only ones you have that are older are Adams and Kelsey, and he's starting to actually, where before he would just didn't care who they were, he's now starting to add those younger pieces. He's added some draft picks and added some pieces to get younger. So he's trying to make sure that he's around for more than just the few years that he's held on to these spots. So definite contender, whether we want to say so or not. And I'm sure the rest of the league did not want to hear that. But he is definitely a contender. So that is the number 2 team. Chimp is back. Number 1, I still, the fact that I can't win the league, I still have to rank myself preseason number 1 with not just the team that I had, but the draft picks that I added. I was able to get some guys that I thought were first round draft picks in the second round, as people were reaching on a couple of players just because they're played for their favorite team, and others just reached for positions that they didn't need and let other guys fall. So some of the ads that my Chicago Fire team has added, they added Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson with the number 1 and number 2 picks in the rookie draft. Got Rashawn Johnson for the Chicago Bears, who's definitely going to get some playing time in that scenario over there. Kendre Miller, New Orleans, especially if what's his name goes to jail there. It's gonna happen at some point. He's gonna have to face the music. So definitely a guy that could get some playing time. All those were added in the rookie draft, along with Zay Flowers for Baltimore, Quentin Johnson for San Diego, and Marvin Mims for Denver. All receivers that were in nice spots. Also added Mark Andrews in a trade. So I'm very happy with not just the rookies that I adding 7 rookies in this draft, and I loved every single one of them. I think I hit a home run in the draft. Again, we got to see. It's got to translate onto the field. But if you'd have told me that I was going to get these 7 players at the beginning of the draft, I'd have been absolutely happy with those all together. Some of the losses that I took in trades and such, traded Darren Waller to get Mark Andrews. I win there. Lost Cam Akers. I just wasn't sold on whether or not he was, what we saw at the end of the year is going to translate into a full year. I definitely could be wrong in this, but I sold him for what I got him for and got a little bit more. So, anytime you can buy something for $1 and sell it for $1.15 and not lose anything, I feel good about that. Lost Aaron Jones, pushing, 29 years old. I didn't want to trade him this year, but when you're getting max return on it, it's hard not to trade him. And then lost Josh Downs, another guy that I took and was really happy to get in the rookie draft. But he was part of the Mark Andrews deal to get Mark Andrews, so I had to part with somebody. You don't get an upgrade like that from Waller to Mark Andrews without giving up something. So I had to give up Josh Downs in that deal. So I feel like I definitely got some young pieces for some older pieces. So that's a definite positive progression there for my roster. Probably the biggest weakness going into the season is the quarterback position. Kyler Murray's still hurt. So we're gonna be down him for a few weeks. Russell Wilson, last we saw, was bad. So I feel like he's going to be better, but we don't know. I mean, last we know, what we do know right now is that Russell Wilson was bad. So until we see otherwise, Russell Wilson is still bad until we see otherwise on the field. So that means we're rolling with Trevor Lawrence going into the season. I love Trevor Lawrence's schedule. If you get a chance to peek at the schedule, go look at the schedule for Trevor Lawrence. I didn't know that when I traded for him in another league, but I feel really good about it now. I guess he has 5 matchups with really good quarterbacks, and they're spread out. And 3 of them or 4 of them are at home, and 1 is on the road. So that's good. And then he has a quarterback advantage in the rest of the games that he plays. Plays in an easier division. So we're rolling with Trevor Lawrence until Kyler Murray returns, and then maybe even further without, even when Kyler Murray returns. We might still just keep rolling with Trevor Lawrence. Decision was made not to get rid of Russell Wilson this year. First off, because it was made for me when everybody took the 2 quarterbacks that I wanted in the rookie draft, which was perfectly fine. I was able to get other positions. It was going to be a tough decision anyway, because if I move on from Russell Wilson, Murray's out for a while, and Lawrence, gets hurt or hits the bye week. Am I going to run a rookie quarterback in, or that I definitely would want to draft to put on my taxi squad? So it was going to be a rough year to draft a quarterback anyway. So keeping Wilson for another year is not a bad idea. To go with Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. Those 2 are probably going to start the season on the taxi squad anyway. And so to go with them, we still have Jonathan Taylor, Dalvin Cook, where we're still not sure if Dalvin Cook's going to be a Minnesota Viking. Rumors still swirl and whether they're going to deal him or not. And then we also have DeAndre Swift, who's moved to the Eagles. I feel is a nice landing spot. I couldn't have got any better once Jahmyr Gibbs gets drafted by Detroit, and I take him there. And then Swift goes to the Eagles. Perfect transition. So to go with all them rookies, I got 3 or 4 nice spots there. I still have Kareem Hunt on the roster. He hasn't landed anywhere yet, but I feel like he's going to end up somewhere. So nice running back core for my roster, the Chicago Fire, this year. Receiver wise, most of these receivers, again, we only have six spots for taxi. So some of these guys are not going to go to the taxi squad. To go with Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnson, and Marvin Mims. You got DJ Moore, Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, and AJ Brown, stacked at the wide receiver position. This is a pretty loaded team. Mark Andrews now at tight end. Kyle Pitts is a backup, where he's definitely in a nice spot to be a backup. He can be a backup and develop, and I don't have to worry about starting him because Andrews is starting every single week. Juwan Johnson was the guy that carried me to the finals last year, but definitely I struggled with that tight end position. So getting a tight end like Mark Andrews when Waller was getting hurt and Pitts just wasn't getting it done, getting Mark Andrews in a trade was a nice finishing touch for this roster. So right now the number 1 team in the league for the preseason rankings, but as it's translated into the games, the best team doesn't always win. The top dog at the beginning of the year doesn't always take home the crown. And it happened last year as the Motorboaters and Garrett's team has taken down the championship. And so hopefully we can get that trophy to Garrett so he can put it on his mantle for a little bit, at least for the year, until I get it at the end of this year. I got to win it this year. My window's closing. So I'm coming for it this year. Again, still anybody but Edlinger. We don't want him winning anymore, but can't have that guy winning another one. So hope you guys like the rankings. I'll try to do this as much as I possibly can throughout the year, but I got 5 leagues to do it in. So we'll see how active I can keep it going. Again, definitely, if anybody wants to do one of these with me, where we talk throughout the year and throw things back and forth, I would definitely love to do that with you guys. So let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks and have a great day. And for all things fantasy football, I'm Richard Keck. We'll see you soon.